Hi, I'm EllaAradia and welcome to your Psychic Tarot Love Reading. This reading is for my Cancer, Scorpio and Pisces water signs. The timestamps are below, where we'll be taking a deeper dive into your person's hidden feelings for you. This is a love reading and it's for those of you who are already connected with someone, even if you are currently in no contact with your person. This will be a very specific message, so it may not resonate for all of you. If it feels right, then it's meant for you. Otherwise, you may want to check out the readings for your other placements, so Sun, Moon, Rising or Venus. And before we jump in, a big thank you to all of you who are supporting my channel by liking and subscribing. So if you enjoy this reading and you haven't already done that, please do. It helps the channel out a lot. It doesn't cost anything to subscribe, and then you can get notified when the next videos are up. So Cancer, let's jump in. I always like to tune into the energies first, Cancer, before I start pulling cards. I'm a psychic reader, so I like to see what the universe shows me. I feel like I have a Cancer here who is, waiting for something to go to the next level here. I feel like you're waiting for, some kind of commitment from your person. There's a bit of a lack of clarity here around, where you really stand with them. As, I feel like this is someone who is maybe giving some mixed signals, kind of saying that, oh, we're just kind of like friends with benefits. We're not really in a relationship, but yet time has passed. You're still together. And I do feel like that's kind of leaving you, really wondering where you stand here. The overall energies, we have the Emperor. This is a card of stability and structure. And sometimes that represents, somebody in a position of authority. This could be the person that you're dealing with. And, sometimes this can be somebody who has a tendency to be a little bit controlling in some way. Your person's view of you, we have the Two of Pentacles. Their feelings towards you, the Chariot. So for some of you, this might be someone that you are at a distance from right now, because the Chariot is all about, taking an action, making a movement. It may be this person is thinking about perhaps traveling to you, but it feels like, there is some kind of choice they're needing to make here. This could also indicate someone stepping up. Their feelings towards you, the Devil. I don't like that the Devil's there. The Devil is all about, unhealthy, toxic patterns, behaviors. And, this is the kind of dynamic I'm feeling in this, because when I feel into the person that you're dealing with, it feels like other people seem to be more of a priority. That's why this Two of Pentacles is here, because this is a card about, someone who is, juggling perhaps two different choices. And it is an energy of getting your priorities in order. And, on your person's side, that is where they are really needing to, I feel, have a look at what is truly important to them. Because I do feel that they are wanting to, for those of you that are at a distance or it's a no contact situation, with the Chariot there, they are wanting to, make a move towards you. But with the intentions of, with this Devil card. So my question is, are they really ready to let go of perhaps a certain lifestyle or a version of themselves? Like, I feel quite a social energy, like hanging out with friends, Some of you might be dealing with someone where there might be some toxicity involved in terms of, patterns of behavior and things like that. For some of you, addictions. And it definitely feels like there is a great physical connection here. But do they really have what it takes to move things to the next level? That's my concern here, Cancer, especially with the energies of the devil there. That doesn't feel to me like someone that is ready to let go of perhaps control or independence, or having, that sort of freedom of that lifestyle. Let's just get your feelings. Your feelings, we have the Fool, which is all about a new beginning. Now, whether or not, I feel like there's kind of a bit of a conflict here with you, Cancer. For some of you, this is wanting a whole new beginning in life, to just, let go of this connection. Because ultimately, it's not giving you what you want. I feel like you're wanting something deeper and more committed. What you're offering is love. That's what's on the table. And I do feel like this is somebody that may have initially come on quite strong, said all the right things, did all the right things, and at some point you gave them your heart, you saw the potential. But as time has gone on, these patterns of behavior, like the cracks have started to appear with this devil card here. So what lies in the challenge is the Five of Swords. There may have been some conflict. Because I do feel at some point, you have voiced that you have certain needs in this, that they are, not fulfilling those needs. They're not stepping up in the way that you really need them to. Because I do get the sense of being let down, almost this type of energy where, at the last minute, they get kind of swayed by friends to go and do things and this, that, and the other. It feels like there's some kind of toxic behaviors there to me, and letting you down in the process. So there is this energy of not feeling prioritized. And I always talk about soul lessons. So in terms of soul lessons, there is a big invitation here about looking after your needs and making yourself a priority, because I definitely get the sense of you staying in something that isn't really working for you in the hopes of things getting better, because you saw that potential. And there may have been conflict, there may have been harsh words spoken. And that may be the reason why there is, a little bit of distance between you, or some kind of no contact situation here. The hidden influence is the Wheel of Fortune. And it may well be, Cancer, that with the Wheel of Fortune, that's divine timings and orchestration. That's when the universe sometimes comes in and shifts a certain person out of our lives because it makes space for somebody new. Because whatever this is, it's part of an old pattern I'm feeling, an old pattern of putting your needs to one side in the hopes of love, settling for less in the hopes of something changing. And a big invitation here to really prioritize yourself and make choices and decisions from the energy of someone who loves themselves. And I do feel that the universe has come in. The Wheel of Fortune is about change. Sometimes a change in direction, sometimes if things haven't been going well, it can change for the better, or vice versa. And it does feel to me like some kind of invitation to potentially, if you choose to, take a different path. Your advice from the universe, the Queen of Pentacles. This is always for me a card of, you know, nurturing yourself, remembering your worth, your value, the wealth of, you know, what you have to give as a person, because I do feel you have so much to give. And that's the invitation that, you know, it may be time here to, you know, really put some boundaries in place around what you will accept, what you won't accept, even if it means, you know, some kind of fresh start here with this energies of the Fool. It's about you stepping into those soul lessons of the Queen of Pentacles, you know, looking after your needs in all of this, even if it means, you know, letting this person go here. In your outcome, the Ace of Pentacles, a new path to walk, especially with, you know, the energies here of the Wheel of Fortune. A new path to walk if you choose to take it. And, you know, it may involve, you know, digging a little bit deep and facing any fears and insecurities, but absolutely looking after yourself in this situation. And doing what, you know, truly feels right for you, because you do deserve more. You deserve love, and you deserve to have that commitment, you know, without this, all this energy of, you know, a lack of clarity. You know, you deserve someone that is stepping up for you and is making that commitment. So let's just get your person's hidden message for you. So this is more for those of you who are in some kind of no contact situation. Yeah, I feel like the control is a bit of a protection with the person that you're dealing with. You know, don't get too far in, don't go too deep. You know, they may have had a hurt in the past, you know, a betrayal that's, you know, created a little bit of energetic damage on the heart, where it's just scary to open up to their own feelings, to love. You know, but in order for things to move forward, that needs to change. That's exactly what I've just said. I couldn't let you get close to me. I lost myself for a while. You don't know how hard it was to let you go. That could be you. I feel like that's more on your side. That's your energy. I don't react when people mention you. I knew exactly what I was doing. And that's the thing. I feel like they know what you want, but they're just not stepping up. And at some point, you know, self-preservation kicks in, and it might be a moment to, you know, make some kind of shift in a different direction. So Cancer, I'm going to leave that there. We are going to move on to Scorpio. Scorpio. Just going to do one more shuffle here. Oh my God. I'm going to have to pick that up. That is the Six of Swords as your overall energy. That's a card of transition and moving away from a challenging time towards calmer shores. Overcoming obstacles, problems, challenges. And I always feel, you know, with the two figures in the boat there, that, you know, this is possible, you know, with the person that you are currently connected with. There's always an invitation to, you know, use whatever difficulties or challenges that you're facing to actually bring you closer rather than push you apart. Your person's view of you, we have the Seven of Wands. That's a very guarded energy. Someone who's got the guard up. Their feelings towards you, the Seven of Swords. Their intentions towards you, the King of Pentacles. This is someone who I feel, you know, really wants to love you and take care of you. This is someone who I feel really sees a long-term future with you. They want to invest in you. Very nurturing energy, just someone who really wants to look after you, but they've got their guard up here. And with the Seven of Swords, to me, it feels like they are not trusting you, Scorpio. This is a card of sometimes deception, things being hidden, dishonesty. This can be somebody that's, kind of sneaking around in the background, not wanting things to be seen. Because there's some reason why, they have their guard up here. But at the same time, I do feel like they're seeing you as their long-term partner. And, that's absolutely what they're wanting. They're wanting to, work together towards building a future together. But there's something right now that they are not trusting. Your feelings towards your situation, the Six of Cups. That's a card of revisiting the past, nostalgia, and, going back over old memories. Because when I look at your energy, Scorpio, I see you facing your person, but your head is turned back to the past. And it may be that there may be a piece of your heart that's still with somebody in the past that might be preventing you from, really moving forwards with this connection with this new person. And for some of you Scorpios, you may even have been in contact with this person in the past. And, this is what this Seven of Swords is all about, that something's being hidden, not having, a real kind of clear picture of, what is going on there. It's often a card when there's trust issues in a connection. So the person that you're dealing with has definitely got their guard up, they're protecting their heart, even though, they do see you as their person. I feel like they're picking up on something and wondering, if you are committed to them. Are you being loyal? Are you talking to people from your past? Are you talking to other people? That's the energy that I'm feeling here, Scorpio. Let's just look at your challenge. So in the challenge, we have the Page of Swords. This is often an energy where, we're trying to make a decision about something, but we're not quite ready to do that. We're still gathering information. We're still looking at the facts of a situation. Your hidden influence is strength. I feel like there's something going on here where there might be a little bit of fear on your side around going further into this connection. And with the Page of Swords there, I feel like that's you holding back a little bit, Scorpio, and using perhaps logic, facts of the situation, intelligence, working a little bit more from those energies around, your situation with this person and, whether you want to, move things to the next level here, when really there's an invitation, I feel, perhaps to listen to your heart here. Because I feel like you're right in your head at the moment. And I feel like it's actually, making it more difficult because, sometimes these have to be, a more balanced decision that actually comes from, what is your heart truly saying here? And I do feel like there's some kind of choice to be made, which in order to fully step into this connection here with this new person, there's something from the past. There's somebody from the past that needs to be let go of. And I do see a Scorpio that's kind of, trying to weigh up perhaps a couple of different choices. Is there still something there with that person in the past? Did I make the right decision? Should I let go of that and, fully embrace this new connection here? Because I do feel like you've got somebody who is loyal, devoted, consistent, who is really wanting to show up for you, really wanting to take things to the next level, with a view to a future with you, Scorpio. And, that might involve on your side facing some fears and insecurities. It might be about perhaps just taking a little bit of a leap of faith, trusting your heart rather than, getting caught up in your mind. Because when I feel into this card, I just see a Scorpio that's, ruminating, going round and round, different thoughts, fears, worries, concerns, when actually, it is, I feel, about perhaps just listening to your heart on this one. And really have a deeper look at what is the real reason that is perhaps holding you back from stepping forwards with this person. Is it a fear to get hurt? Have you been hurt in the past? And so, there's a difficulty to really trust that if you fully open up to this, are you actually going to get hurt? Is your heart going to get hurt? But every connection, that there is always a risk. We can never be 100% sure. But it does feel like there's a big invitation here for something real, secure, stable for you. So don't allow, your fears and insecurities to get in the way of this, to get in the way of, love that really does feel stable and real to me. Your advice from the universe, which is what I've just said, the Four of Pentacles. This is someone who is holding on too tightly. So that's you, Scorpio, holding on to those coins. And, sometimes there's a fear to let go. There's a fear to let go of control, because control, I feel, has, perhaps always been a protection for you. And the advice here is about, definitely looking deeper into that, like what I just said. What are the reasons as to why you are keeping things close to your chest? You're not opening up, a little bit like the figure on the card here. You're holding on, you're controlling. And it is to look, at what is the deeper energy underneath that. Is there really a valid reason for that? Or is it just actually your own fears here that are holding you back? In your outcome, the Two of Wands. So you're coming up to a crossroads, and in the not too distant future, Scorpio, there is going to be a choice that you need to make. And, this is a very powerful moment, because it's the kind of choice which can really change your life path, really change the direction that you're going in. And the figure on the card, they have one foot in the past, which is, what feels familiar, secure, and one foot, pointing towards what might be possible. So it's so important to, make a decision that really comes from a balanced and aligned place of, not just your heart, but also your mind as well. So Scorpio, let's just get your person's hidden feelings for you. So this is more for those of you who are in some kind of no contact situation here. Scorpio, let me do one more shuffle. Just being near you is intoxicating. Definitely is a strong chemistry here between the two of you. A lot of physical attraction. I'm becoming a better person. I can't stop thinking about you. I hid who I really am from you. I feel like that's you, Scorpio. I feel like that's you being guarded and not, being vulnerable and opening up. allowing yourself to be seen. And maybe it's time, maybe it's time to do that. I know I was a distraction from your pain. I hope that you can forgive me one day. So Scorpio, I'm going to leave that there. We are going to move on to Pisces. Hi, Pisces. Pisces. So let me do one more shuffle. Okay, Pisces, let's jump in. So I always like to tune in to the energies first, Pisces, before I start pulling any cards. I like to see what comes through. I'm a psychic reader, so I like to see what the universe shows me. I'm feeling some kind of a very one-sided connection here, Pisces. Where, the energies that I'm feeling here is it's all about the person that you're dealing with. It's all about them. It's on their time, when they want, what they want to do. It's all about having their needs met. And very little about you in this. So there's something, really out of balance here in these energies of, giving and receiving. What you're putting in, you're not receiving back from your person is what I'm feeling. And, I do feel like that's starting to really impact the connection, because what I'm seeing, it's almost like a timer on your heart. And every time something happens where you feel let down, disappointed, your needs are not met in some way, it's like a little part of your heart starts to close. And each time it's more and more and more, until eventually, that's going to cause you to close off completely from your person. So what lies in your overall energies is temperance. So, there could be some big soul lessons at play here, some healing, some inner work that, needs to be done. It might be that the person you're dealing with is part of a lesson. I often say that sometimes, people are lessons, they're not life partners. Your person's view of you, we have the Eight of Swords. This is an energy of someone who's feeling stuck in their mind, stuck in their thoughts, and perhaps allowing, negative, limiting beliefs to hold them back. And what they're not doing in this is connecting to the deeper feelings in their heart. That's the energy I get here. Their feelings towards you, the moon. This is often a moment of a lack of clarity, and it can be somebody, I feel, especially with that Eight of Swords there, that is really holding back. They're not opening up. They're not sharing their deeper feelings with you. The moon is sometimes a card of deception, dishonesty. It sometimes represents somebody's subconscious fears, insecurities, unhealed patterns is what I'm getting. You're dealing with someone who, has really carried the wounds from their own past into the connection with you. It's not something they've healed. It's not something they've resolved. And it's a block, I feel, a challenge around, the person that you're dealing with being able to open up more fully to you. I feel like this is someone with kind of major trust issues that has been very hurt in the past. May have been betrayal, loss, betrayal. Their intentions towards you is the Ten of Cups. So this is someone who knows what you want. The Ten of Cups is the kind of happily ever after card, the wishes granted, emotional fulfillment and happiness. And it's very often a potential, you know, that we do see in a connection. You know, so it may also be that they know what you want. They also see that potential just as you do. But opening up to it and embracing it is another story. So, you know, sometimes in these deep soulmate connections, which is what I feel this is, and, you know, just to kind of say, like, a soulmate connection, we can have many soulmates and they can show up in our lives for different reasons. Sometimes they come into our lives to really shake things up and teach us, you know, soul lessons. We're always teaching each other something. And there is always an invitation for this 10 of Cups, but to get to it involves both sides, you know, both people facing any fears and insecurities, going within, you know, doing that inner work, doing that healing in order to be able to embrace it. And so that's the challenge I'm seeing, you know, with the person that you're dealing with. They're struggling to open up. They're struggling to open up and be vulnerable, allow themselves to be seen. And that's what it's going to take to be able to actually get to this 10 of Cups. You know, sometimes opening up and being vulnerable and letting ourselves be seen, you know, that it's unsafe, you know, there's a risk. What if I'm not enough? What if I'm rejected? What if I open up and really give my heart to this person? You know, am I going to get betrayed? Am I going to get hurt again? Because I do feel like this is someone who is carrying, you know, quite a major wound on their heart from the past that they have not, you know, fully resolved and healed. And you've come in, you know, with an invitation to open up to something real and healthy and loving. Your feelings towards your person, the Queen of Swords. So this is a card of truth, speaking your truth, facing a truth. And it may be that some of you have, you know, put your cards on the table and, you know, set it for how it is, what you want, what you're willing to accept, what you're willing not to accept. And it feels for some of you, you've done that, you know, no matter the outcome, even if it means, you know, having to, you know, let this person go and move on. You know, the Queen of Swords is someone who is not afraid to speak her truth, and that can be male or female, of course, and to speak her truth regardless of the outcome, regardless of, you know, how that is received by the other person. And for some of you, this is going to relate to, you know, you being asked to really see the truth of this situation. Sometimes we can get hooked onto this dream, this potential, you know, the reality of what it could be. And you may be being asked at this time to actually, you know, this is an energy that the Queen of Swords cuts through illusions so that we can see the truth clearly. You're being asked to see the truth. What lies in the challenge is the Two of Swords. So that really relates to what I've just said with the Queen of Swords there, you know, not wanting to, you know, see a truth here. You know, the Two of Swords is all about a choice or decision that needs to be made. Sometimes it can be one that we're avoiding, because I do feel like that there is this challenge in you around holding out, you know, for things to get better, because you still see that potential of the 10 of Cups. You still see, you know, what they could be, what this could be. And the struggle sometimes is letting go of who we wanted them to be, who we thought they were going to be in our lives, letting go of, you know, how we thought this story was going to end. And so there's a little bit of a challenge in you right now, Pisces, around that, you know, seeing the truth, making some kind of decision, because of course on your side, to face the truth, make, you know, the most healthy choice for yourself may involve actually letting go of this connection altogether and moving on. And of course, that may bring up, you know, some of your unhealed parts. You know, that may bring up certain feelings in you. You know, it's not always the most comfortable place to be in, you know, becoming single, being on our own. And it just feels a little bit like this is a bit of a trauma bond where, you know, whatever comes up for you around letting go of this connection is definitely a key point for perhaps you to have a look at in terms of, you know, healing yourself and understanding, you know, why you have perhaps attracted somebody that isn't fully available, and that may relate back to a parent that wasn't fully available in some way, or left, or whatever that was. And you know, we very often recreate what we know and what feels familiar. And that's why I feel like with temperance there's these really powerful soul lessons that are at play in this connection. And you know, on both sides you may be part of a lesson for each other, rather than actually there's something being a long-term, you know, life partner type of connection. But very challenging. The hidden influence is the 5 of Pentacles. Having to move on, leave something behind, feeling abandoned, feeling on the outside of something, let down. But wrapped up in this card are always the lessons of moving on in the energy of really knowing your worth and your value. Your advice from the universe, the 5 of Wands. This is often a card of competition. Some of you might even be dealing with, you know, somebody that has a lot of attention. They might be entertaining other conversations, you know, things like that. And you're feeling like you have to compete. And it may well be actually to just step out of any drama right now, if that is what is going on, and just walking away, taking a step back from that, not engaging in any drama or any competition, because you shouldn't have to be, you know, fighting for the person that you're with. And it may be a moment to move on, take a step back at least, and really have a deeper think about, you know, what you want to do with this connection here. What is best for you? And being brave, you know, facing the truth, being in the reality of, you know, what is actually happening in this moment. What lies in your outcome is the Emperor, and that's stability. And this is you taking your power back. That's the invitation I feel of this card for you. We can read this card in many different ways, but in this case, I feel like you've given, you know, a lot of your time, a lot of your energy, and you know, it has got you into this space of feeling a little bit powerless. And with the Emperor there, that's you, you know, regaining stability, reclaiming your power in this situation. And I feel moving forwards in a more healthy, whole and complete energy in yourself. So Pisces, let's get your person's hidden feelings for you. So this is more for those of you who are in some kind of no contact situation right now. Pisces, I regret lying to you. Feels like somebody has been talking to other people. I love you unconditionally. I hide behind material things. I left when I saw you with someone. I feel like that's you, Pisces. Also the card, you know, I love you unconditionally. I definitely feel like that's the vibration that you're coming forward in. But, you know, that has to be reciprocated. Otherwise, like I said at the beginning, you end up in this, you know, unbalanced unreciprocal connection. I feel you leaving me behind. So Pisces, I'm going to leave that there. If this reading resonated, let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you. And as always, no matter what comes through in a reading, moving forwards, always trust what feels right for you. So thanks so much for being here, and I wish you a great month ahead.